Scraping, caulking. It's taking a lot of time. This one's half done, but we finished over here. Got another room that's cleaned up. Let's see it.
It started with a whisper. Something missing. Something off that nobody could pin down. From the first sentence, you're drawn in, wondering what secret kept everyone silent. That subtle gap sets the stage. Born in Maplewood, New Jersey, in 1968 or 1969, Kevin O'Connor grew up in a house that never felt finished. Nestled in chaos, 4 brothers, 2 sisters, and the smell of concrete and sawdust drifting through every corridor. His father, a civil engineer, turned every weekend into a construction zone. While other kids memorized spelling words, Kevin learned to frame doors and read blueprints. But the blueprint that would shape his life wasn't completed until decades later. Despite that raw, hands-on upbringing, Kevin seemed destined for a different path. When he was 19, he collapsed during military training, blackouts that doctors traced to a heart murmur. Then, the most bizarre twist. His medical records disappeared. Poof, gone. No explanation, no follow-up, just silence. That moment steered Kevin away from the military and toward a life built on structure and strategy, but with an invisible fracture no one could trace. He graduated from St. Benedict's Prep in Newark in 1986, an institution known for its rigorous discipline. By 1990, he had a history degree from the College of the Holy Cross, giving him the ability to connect dots, stories, facts, contexts, a tool he'd wield later on camera. 9 years later, he earned his MBA from Boston University, launching what looked like a textbook banking career. He joined Fleet Bank's sports finance division, funding stadiums and arenas, then moved to Bank of America's commercial real estate team. By his early 30s, he was a senior vice president, managing multi-million-dollar portfolios and living the 6-figure life. From the outside, it was perfect, but the hum of drills and the dust of sawdust were etched in his brain. At 35, Kevin walked away, shocking everyone. He quit his career, left the title and paycheck behind, and followed that instinct born in a barn framed by his childhood experiences. In 2003, Kevin and his wife Kathleen bought a majestic Queen Anne Victorian in Beverly, Massachusetts, a gorgeous structure from 1894. But inside, it was a disaster. Kitchens needed full-gut jobs, bathrooms had to be rebuilt, plaster cracked and peeled everywhere. Then there was one seemingly innocent problem: wallpaper. Layers of it hung from walls like decades of history, and no amount of scraping budged it. Rounded Victorian corners mocked them daily. They scraped for weeks. Frustration built. And here's your first embedded hook. They sent an email to the very show they'd watched growing up. It was a Hail Mary, a desperate cry for trick advice on wallpaper removal. They expected a quick tip. Instead, the response was a camera crew and Tom Silva at their doorstep. That wasn't just a visit. It was a screen test. As they filmed the episode that would air on March 6, 2003, Kevin's natural curiosity stole the spotlight. He peppered Silva with questions, even mid-lunch. The producers noticed. He clicked on camera. He felt real. Not scripted, not polished, just honest. 3 weeks later, Kevin was sitting at his Bank of America desk when the call came. It wasn't about loans. It was an offer to host Ask This Old House, and the original This Old House. He thought it was a prank. He even asked his boss to hold his job for a year. But, as they say, truth is stranger than fiction. That quake in his career triggered seismic shifts behind the scenes. Bob Vila, the show's original host, had left in 1989 after a controversy involving Home Depot. Even then, the backlash was explosive. Vila chose a $500,000 endorsement over PBS and was fired right away. Then Steve Thomas took over for 14 years, winning an Emmy in 1998. But in 2003, at age 50, he quietly exited. The show needed a fresh face, someone who could honor the legacy without being overshadowed by it. Kevin walked into that void, unscripted, unassuming, but with the instincts of a storyteller and the work ethic of someone who had lived with physical labor. Viewers responded. He wasn't just the host. They felt he was one of them. And in the decades since he began, he's stayed consistent, building trust, credibility, and a quiet empire. But here's where the plot thickens, and another hook drops. In recent weeks, Kevin has broken his silence on rumors swirling about his future on This Old House. He's publicly criticized HGTV shows, cast members have begun stepping away, and whispers about his departure are getting louder. Whispers he's now ready to address. Let's rewind a little. This Old House itself is a juggernaut. 46 seasons, over 1,100 episodes, spanning TV, radio, magazine, and web platforms. In 2021, Roku bought it, transforming it into a streaming powerhouse. Kevin has been its face since 2003. He's guided viewers through flooding kitchens, creaky floorboards, and historic restorations. He's also become a champion of the play. There was no grand goodbye, no emotional send-off, just a vague comment about wanting more time for sailing and skiing. That lack of clarity raised eyebrows. He'd turned This Old House into a powerhouse, yet suddenly he was gone, drifting into smaller DIY network projects. Viewers were confused, producers were tense, and the weight of expectation landed on whoever followed. But the person they chose had zero TV experience. Kevin O'Connor didn't audition, submit a resume, or seek the spotlight. But the producers stopped their search after filming just one shoot with him. What happened in that moment was electric, and it all began in a basement with creator Russell Morash, casually invited to sit in beach chairs. Morash, who had been at the helm since 1979, said quietly that Kevin had the perfect blend of optimism and energy, two essential ingredients for anyone wrestling with an old house's surprises. That unplanned invitation became the pivot point of a career. The introduction wasn't polished. There were no polite handshakes. Plumbing pro Richard Trethewey, known for his no-nonsense demeanor, handed Kevin a shovel. Suddenly, the former senior VP of Bank of America was digging trenches for sewer lines. No cameras, no artificial drama, no shortcuts, just sweat and soil. Richard's test was simple. Was Kevin just playing actor, or was he truly ready to learn? Each blister and every drop of sweat said he chose the latter. He later admitted those early days taught him his first golden rule: listen more than talk, and trust the pros. And Richard wasn't the only mentor throwing challenges his way. Tom Silva, the master carpenter, didn't hand over a fake saw. He gave Kevin real lumber to cut, expecting visible mistakes. Tom wasn't looking for a smooth host. He wanted someone who showed up ready to learn. Kevin spent hours off-camera practicing grip, measuring precisely, and mastering tools without slowing the crew. It was more than hosting. It was becoming part of the team. And people watching noticed. They watched him struggle, grow, and succeed, just like they did in their own homes. That unpolished authenticity became a magnet, hooking viewers with its genuine grit. Then, just when no one expected it, Kevin was nominated for an Emmy in 2004, less than a year after stepping on set. Outstanding Service Show Host. He hadn't fully found his rhythm yet, but the industry did. It surprised critics who assumed a banker-turned-host couldn't cut it. Bob Vila and Steve Thomas built credibility over years. Kevin did it in one season. His spark? A mix of curiosity, transparency, and seamless connection with experts. That nomination wasn't just validation, it was a turning point. He wasn't merely presenting home improvement, he was reshaping how it was seen. Something changed in Kevin during those formative episodes. He realized he didn't just want to ask questions. He wanted to pick up a hammer, mix bricks, break a sweat alongside the crew. That shift from questioner to teammate deepened the emotional pull. Interviews became collaborative. The experts weren't teaching him. They were teaching the audience together. That shared journey, learning, error, triumph, gave viewers a feeling they weren't just watching TV, they were part of it. That authenticity was the glue that held their attention. That same authenticity echoed in Ask This Old House, launched in 2002 as a magazine-style format. When Kevin stepped in, it transformed. No longer a studio cameo, he visited real homes, solved genuine problems, rolled up his sleeves, and filmed in daylight and dust. It all began with wallpaper removal trouble at his own place. No TV background, just practical need. By 2025, the show had aired over 2 decades, with Kevin not only anchoring it, but also contributing to This Old House magazine. He moved from finance executive to TV leader in a nearly unbelievable climb. But he didn't stop there. In the same year he joined This Old House, 2003, he launched Inside This Old House, offering intimate views of the franchise's most memorable projects. Remarkably, he juggled 3 shows plus his corporate job until he was confident the path would hold. That kind of cautious confidence, not fame-chasing, made his success feel earned. This series drew back the curtain, anchored Kevin deeper in the renovation world, and brought viewers closer to the stories behind the builds. In 2010, Kevin made history again. He leapt from public broadcasting to commercial cable with New This Old House on the DIY network, co-hosted with Amy Matthews. The show highlighted smart home tech and fresh building methods. It was a bold step into new territory, new audience, new style, but it worked. The show earned 2 Emmy nominations, proving Kevin could excel in both PBS and commercial spheres. Cable producers picked him for his rare ability to simplify technical concepts for everyday viewers. That blend of credibility and clarity solidified his reputation. Then came his most personal project, a book. In 2011, he released The Best Homes from This Old House, a collection of over 200 stunning transformations, captured by his college friend Mike Casey. 2 friends, 1 idea, and a bestseller. The book went beyond walls and beams. It told stories of families, craftsmanship, and the beauty hidden in renovation. That success led him onto the editorial board of This Old House magazine, placing his voice across TV, print, books, and digital platforms. But Kevin wasn't afraid to stir the pot. In one interview, he didn't mince words about modern DIY shows. He called many of them misleading, saying some were bordering on worthless. He wasn't calling for nuance, he called them out. He argued glossy makeovers, compressed timelines, and unrealistic budgets were more entertainment than education, and potentially dangerous for home viewers trying to copy them. That statement blew through the industry. Fans were shocked. Rival hosts were livid. But Kevin doubled down. He said public broadcasting was about real skills, not reality TV shortcuts. Cable shows, he warned, encouraged wasteful flips and weekend projects that weren't grounded in real-world safety or feasibility. He defined it as an education versus entertainment divide. One cable star fired back. Kevin didn't understand their audience. They weren't building grand structures. They were empowering everyday people to make manageable updates. The clash intensified, but Kevin didn't back away. He saw himself on the front lines of a philosophy war. Glossy TV spectacle versus live skill teaching. That divide grew louder, and Kevin's critique became a rallying cry for traditional craftsmen and tradespeople. Yet, what still puzzles people is what Kevin didn't address: the personal doubts, industry pressures, and the growing rumors swirling around his departure. And that silence might hold the next twist. Silence can speak louder than words. Kevin never uttered Bob Vila's name. No tribute, no critique, just 2 decades of respectful quiet. Vila, who ignited This Old House in 1979 and left amid scandal in 1989, pocketed $500,000 in endorsements while the show relied on public funding. His clash with Home Depot's rival shook the franchise, and then he disappeared. Yet Kevin, stepping in years later, chose not to relive that fracture. That unspoken gesture said more than any apology ever could. What viewers don't know is whether that silence was strategic or emotional armor. Kevin has always played the long game. He avoided needless confrontations, maintaining friendships across networks even as tensions escalated. But when it comes to craftsmanship, he refuses to hold his tongue. Dismissing century-old building methods, he'll correct you in real time. He reminds us that early builders used coal, not nylon insulation. They worked without modern tools, yet their homes lasted centuries. Watch a debate about tiny houses, and Kevin is there. He challenges assumptions that smaller equals better, pointing out that a 5,000 square foot modern house can outperform a 1,000 square foot one built poorly 15 years ago. That line of thought has sparked pushback from sustainability advocates, but he doesn't back down. He insists context matters, and that nuance is never a dirty word. Everything Kevin does is rooted in deep knowledge, and it shows in the numbers. He earns about $10,000 per This Old House or Ask This Old House episode, and by 2022 he'd hosted over 380, translating to millions. Compare that to Bob Vila's peak of $800 per episode. It's new era scale. His current net worth is estimated between $5 million and $17.9 million depending on market sources. That leap from former banker to media mogul is impressive, but not accidental. He also pockets $15,000 to $50,000 for keynote speeches, and in 2024 headlined Equip Exposition in Kentucky, discussing future contracting tech. Through these stages, he's built direction and influence, not just income. Kevin's satchel of luxury tells its own story. He owns a classic Queen Anne Victorian in Hamilton, Massachusetts, a carefully chosen statement piece matched to his brand. He's been spotted driving both vintage and modern luxury vehicles, some rumored to be Tesla and Range Rover models, while collecting high-end watches. His business card reads TV host, but his investment portfolio tells another tale. Millions in Carrier Global stock, earning around $1.5 million annually, and strategic investments in real estate and brands. He also co-founded This Old Toolbox and co-hosted a top-ranked podcast, Clear Story, hitting the Apple Top 1% and scoring a 4.8 rating NPSA.org. Factor in health and career insurance policies protecting show shoots, homes, and family. And suddenly, he's not just a host. He's an authority. Yet the path hasn't always been smooth. October 2022 was one of the toughest. Norm Abram, the heart and soul of the show since 1979, retired after 43 years of guiding crews and viewers alike. When the social media announced it, editors noticed a spike in viewer anxiety. What will happen now? But Kevin didn't panic. His plan? Integrate new team members, honor the past, ease the audience into change. A torch passing, not a reboot. The result? Viewers stayed. Trust remained. 2 years prior, landscape pro Roger Cook stepped away due to health struggles after nearly 4 decades. Again, Kevin responded with care. He welcomed Jen Nada gradually, letting her expertise speak while preserving Roger's legacy. Watching how Kevin handled these shifts, you can see his strategy. Respect what was, while evolving what is. Kevin also foresaw the shift in viewing habits. Back in Bob Vila's era, scenes ran for over 12 minutes. Early Kevin episodes trimmed those to 4 to 6 minutes. Now? Camera segments run seconds, not minutes, a format shift he championed to keep pace with modern attention spans. Yet he retained depth. Where cable shows blitz multiple projects in one episode, this old house still delves into just 2 per season, showing every step, every explanation, with the same reverence for process. By late 2019, Kevin had a new mission: Clear Story, a podcast unpacking systems like windows and plumbing, exploring how Las Vegas's water crisis holds lessons for every home. It landed in the top 1% of all podcasts and scored a 4.8-star rating on Apple. That success shows he's not chasing clicks. He's curating content that educates and connects. Then, in 2021, this old house did something bold. Partnered with Roku, bringing 1,150 episodes to free streaming via a dedicated 24/7 channel. That move proved Kevin's adaptability. He respected cable's past, but embraced the future. And he didn't just digitize, he monetized with purpose, creating This Old Toolbox, a rental tool platform aligned with his brand's mission. This final act isn't just closure, it's synthesis. Kevin escaped $2 million scandals before his time, Vila's firestorm, Abram's absence, and turned them into lessons. He modernized a beloved brand, balanced reverence with innovation, and grew from host to business architect. His story ends with reflection. Near the end, it's time to zoom in on Kevin's financial world. He drives both classic and electric luxury vehicles, wears Swiss-made timepieces, and lives in a statement historic home. He's earned between $5 million and $17.9 million in net worth, with corporate speaking fees adding hundreds of thousands each year. His stock holdings in Carrier yield an estimated $1.5 million annually, while real estate investments and this old toolbox stake build passive income. He holds insurance across all assets and for his family's future. The lesson? Diversify income, anchor in authenticity, and leverage transitions rather than fear them. Kevin's transformation, from banker to TV icon to business leader, reveals the power of marrying expertise with genuine purpose. In comparing him to Bob Vila or Steve Thomas, Kevin's edge lies in his refusal to idolize the past or chase the present. Instead, he carried the best of what came before into formats designed for now and built a sustainable legacy. He's still teaching, still building, still earning, but above all, he's still learning.